everybody. Welcome to another spectacular edition of Raising the Volume here at the Gilliard Center. My name is Marcus Amaker. I'm the artist in residence here. I'm also the poet laureate of this fine and complicated city. With me is Jirah Perkins, a multi-talented artist, somebody who I've really gotten to know over the past year or so through Instagram and do various events around town, and I'm excited to introduce her work to all of you. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine. Thank y'all for having me. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to talk art and all the things.
Yeah. And I think that what I love about what we're doing here is just sort of exposing folks' work to a wider audience. You know, I just think that there's so many talented folks in our city, especially black artists. And what I have tended to know in Charleston is that usually people only look at like 4 or 5, folks, especially in the black community.
Yeah.
So we are trying to, just like expand people's view, because I don't know, every day I see really, really talented work wherever I go and stuff. So one thing that I'm really in love with your work is the focus on joy. Like whenever I look at your website, it gives me a really good feeling of joy. Can you just talk about that? Is that a very intentional thing with your work?
Yeah, I don't necessarily like to paint things that don't make me happy or just focusing on, like what's going on in the world. I kind of like to just the colors and the bold colors, textures, and just what makes me happy, and kind of I think that it'll help other people maybe. So yeah, joy, that's my thing. It speaks to me through colors, but
is there any thought in your mind about how I think a lot of people expect black artists to always talk about trauma and always like do all of that? Like what are your thoughts on that?
For me, art is like therapy, my tool of expressing. So that's my place that I call home when I don't want to talk about those things or paint about those things. I paint about, sometimes I just go straight abstract, just if I'm having a bad day or whatever, to make me feel better.
Yeah.
But I feel like we do have that pressure, especially now with the movements and everything. We're expected to create strictly towards the movement or for the movement, when art is always protest. So
there's a big part of me that thinks about how this is almost sort of like a renaissance in one way, because there's so much wonderful attention to black artists and black art. And I think at least it's getting a lot of the weight that it deserves. But still, it's still this uphill climb, and it's just very interesting to me. But one thing that I don't see a lot of is art like yours that like expressively is joyful, and I don't know that a lot of people like major media outlets know what to do with joy, with somebody just being like joyful, and not that, you don't get sad or whatever, or trauma doesn't like creep up in your work from time to time.
There is some. I keep them in my laundry room.
Okay.
Ones that are
in your
but I
laundry
don't show
room.
anybody.
Okay, yeah.
Unless my friends happen to see it. But that's where I keep like the other paintings that are just for me and my bad days. So,
And that's such a great way to express what you're going through. I think so. Because there's a lot of ways to express, how we're feeling, whether it's writing or like drinking or punching a wall or something. And if somebody paints, like that's a really healthy way. What's your first memory of being a painter, or of loving visual art? I guess.
I would say school. Just being able to play and not going to it, not really knowing or having a specific intention, really. Just more playing and experimenting and learning from, guidance. I think that's my favorite memory. And I try to do that now, even bring it back, like that childhood kind of play.
That's cool. That's a big mission of mine, is to pass things on and all that, but also sort of like go back to my roots and find that spirit of why I got into the thing in the first place.
Yeah, I miss like the crafts in school. We had to do our projects and things, even if we didn't like them necessarily, but the outcome, or that was my thing.
Yeah, awesome. Tell me about last year. So last year was interesting for a lot of folks, and I know that you had an exhibit that was going to be displayed, and then the world kind of shut down. What was that like for you?
So we still had the show that night, and then I think right after my show, like the week later, that's when everything was shut down. But yeah, last year, I think for me the biggest thing was like shifting, figuring out what I want to do for me internally, and and then apply that to what I want to do as as an artist.
Yeah.
So I think for me last year was just like a year of, if not now, then when, even if as far as resting, if not now, when's the best time to rest when the world is in chaos, really. But last year. Yeah, I think with everything going on, and I think it was more so kind of my first year of entrepreneurship as an artist too, and still coming up in adulthood. I'm 24, so so all of that transition and everything was a thing for me. I learned a lot about me, just taking time for myself and in my art. Really, I think that was my first self-portrait I made this year. So
okay, cool.
It was like my birthday gift to myself, and
nice.
Yeah.
If there was something that you could tell yourself, like what you learned this year, if you could talk to your younger self, like yourself when you're like 15 or 16, like what would you tell that person?
I actually read something a few months ago, and I think it was about like figuring out what creative success means to us.
Yeah.
And I think also that, but what also makes us happy, and if those things align together, I think that's what makes sense more. I think when I was younger, creative, success looked like having things or, people and support and this and that. But I think now, and even getting older, I think being able to rest and being able to play, enjoy, I think that's success to me, creative success.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that I think, though obviously last year was a challenge for a lot of people, but I think that some of the benefit of last year for some of us was realizing that rest is okay because we were all forced to do that.
Yeah.
In some ways still feeling that way, because I think venues are still trying to figure out what to do. You don't want to put people in danger if you put them together. But I saw a lot of good art come out of last year. How do you think that it affected your painting and your...
Mine? I think I experimented a lot more, and lately it's been just abstract. I've been staying away from subjects necessarily, and just more colors and how I feel. Yeah, it's been more personal.
That's cool.
Just feelings about me more, more so. I think everything from the show was more so like giving back and telling stories of like my sister, my mom, my friends. So I think as of last year, it's just been taking time for me through my art as well. So yeah,
that's cool. Why do you think it's important? I mean, this isn't really a question for me, but why do you think it's important that we have art made by black women, that is celebrated?
I think only we can tell our story.
Yeah.
And, the best way, it's us. I think people have tried to tell it and try to rewrite it from their narrative, and we live in it, we experience it. So I think that should be at the forefront of a lot of things. So
I keep thinking about all the stories that have never been told or have been lost, and it's really interesting to think that it's like those are the stories that really made this country, and all those stories have been lost. So it's really cool to see somebody controlling the narrative, like owning owning the narrative. I think that's important.
Yeah.
So from a business standpoint, because this is something that I'm still learning, for somebody who's out there, who's painting and really likes painting, but wants to make that next step, like what kind of advice or what have you learned, I guess, going from, I'm painting in my room, like painting my feelings, to this is a business, so now I'm shipping out things to people and all that. Yeah, what kind of, or what have you learned?
I've learned to take my time and really, figure out things for myself that I can't, even though, we always want to compare ourselves to others, that it's our journey, through entrepreneurship and art. So it can only work, best through us. And I think a lot of times, we tend to rush into things. So, yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, like there's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, I remember how learning how to do an e-commerce website. So, I design sites, but this is a whole different thing. And then realizing shipping and just all of these different.
Don't ever be afraid to ask for help. And that's something I battle with a lot, trying to do everything on my own and end up stressed out. So, yeah.
I think that's a good lesson for everyone, and I'm glad that last year taught me that as well, because having to you can't do everything. I mean, the first year I remember handwriting all the addresses for people, when I ship things out, and I'm like, this is going to take a long time, and then like figuring out, there's like an automated system to do that. I don't need to build how to make money off of a site. Like there's a site that does that. Yeah, there's all these things. Give me something about you that people might not know, like a guilty pleasure. Do you play Xbox every night? Are you?
No. I wish I could. I have a bunch of notes in my phone and voice memos. I just document things sometimes.
Yeah.
And from years ago, like working weird jobs and having like a bad day, I would just go my notes and I guess like songs or poetry or just words.
Nice.
Just stuff. Reminders. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I like to write and document things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I can't wait to see that side come out a lot in your work too, because I read that you wrote, or that you write some poetry and stuff too, and I'm excited to read that stuff.
Yeah. One day.
Yeah, so where do you see yourself sort of in the future? Like, what is the definition of success for you? I know we touched on that earlier, but is there some sort of like major goal that you're looking for in your work or in your career?
Right now, I'm just taking it day by day. I still work, a full-time job. So, and I think right now that's okay for me. I think some people rush into entrepreneurship, and I've tried it. Not right now.
Yeah.
So.
At least you know that.
Just to have something to sustain my art for the meantime. And I'm in school too. So, trying to battle all that. I think I always talk about my main, just what I would like to see is like some kind of place for everybody, any medium to practice and play, all those kind of things. And to share resources, some kind of, I don't know, that's what, like a center, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That's what whether it's something that I do or someone else do, I would like to be a part of it or see it happen.
Yeah. That would be great. I do think that there are things, I like when I go to other cities, I see things that kind of make sense. I'm like, oh, that would be great. And black owned too. And that's not here yet. I mean, there are plans in place for things, but it would be nice, I think that is a goal that I think Charleston needs to really reach for.
Not so centered like around money you're making or just profit, just more so play. And, if you need to come somewhere to work, come. If you need to experiment, you need to vent for a second and paint or whatever, you're welcome.
Yeah, I
something
do
like
see
that.
a part of this sort of like renaissance. Like I said, I think that things are going to come out of this like that because, well, one, I think people have been really tired of just being at home all the time and not being in communal spaces. But I think after things feel safe, in my mind, there's going to be an explosion. I just think people are just going to go wild. But
Yeah.
there's going to be good stuff around that when it comes to art. And I think, and I hope, I mean, this is my hope, that that is going to happen for us, you know? Yeah, you know, so maybe you should be the like CEO of that. You can just start that.
Whatever.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
nice
it'd
to
be
see
fun.
people like Andrea, yeah, open up her
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
I think things like that are
Mm-hmm.
really, really great.
Yeah, people ask me sometimes like my favorite artist, and I try to think of like, the OGs and stuff, but
hmm
honestly, it's the people here, the people that I've gotten to know, Andrea,
Yeah,
you, Rich,
yeah, thank you. Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
here,
right.
yeah, through people through Instagram.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a real big tool.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, I sound like an old man, but um, I think that your like aesthetic on Instagram is perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just think that it's really
Thank
done well.
you.
How much thought do you put into that?
A
Like,
lot.
okay, tell me about that. Like,
Yeah, I kind of planned it out, and I have stuff saved from like months ago,
hmm
and I'll just pick from it and make like a video out of it or something, and
yeah,
I look at how the colors look, and I think to me that's kind of an art form,
yeah, yeah,
like aesthetic. But yeah, I plan it, see how it looks, and send it out or save it, or
cool.
but yeah.
Are you gonna get into TikTok, or are you?
I'm looking. I've tried.
hmm
Maybe I'm getting old, but it's not. I don't. I'm trying to. I've been starting to make like ASMR kind of videos with
Oh, word.
painting and
Oh,
mixing
that's
colors.
awesome.
So yeah, if I can figure it out, I'll do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So here's where I definitely sound like an old man, but I like yeah, like I remember when MySpace was
Mhm.
big, and it was just catered for friends. So like you had your top friends and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and it wasn't really concerned. I mean, it was great, but it wasn't really concerned with like content or selling things or stuff like
Mhm.
that. And that's where I think Instagram is amazing. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like you don't really need another website. Like it's basically
Honestly.
just that.
Mhm.
But then I'm thinking, okay, just like MySpace, like MySpace went down, and then Facebook,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
Facebook whatever, and then Instagram. And I'm like, TikTok can't be the next thing because I'm done. Like I am done.
Yeah, I see all kind of art videos like time lapse and just transformations and like the ASMR stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's happening. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's the thing
Mhm.
that I think a lot of people might not realize. There's students. One of the things that I love about this series is that we make it into a classroom lesson.
Mhm.
Um, so and I think a lot of students don't really realize the work that goes into an Instagram post.
Mhm.
And
It's a
there's a
lot.
lot of stuff out there that's
Mhm.
um, I'll just say like the intention behind it isn't really pure.
Mhm.
But I never get that sense from your stuff,
No.
So
Mhm.
yeah, it's really good.
Thank you.
What kind of stuff are you working on now?
Right now I'm thinking about starting to vend again, maybe
Okay.
so trying to just prepare for that if I decide to. But I just been just my abstract stuff right now. Just been
hmm
working while I'm planning some other things on the side too. So
Yeah.
preparing some things, yeah.
Have you found it interesting, or what has it been like to reach out, if you are
Hmm.
trying to reach out to galleries around town or spaces to display your work, or is that something that you're
Um,
thinking
Honestly,
about?
here I've been kind of straying away from galleries right now.
hmm
Just honestly, the stuff from last year kind of made me have my guard up and just see how things play out. I feel like a lot of museums all around were just doing some strange things as far
hmm
as the movement and
Yeah.
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 So I've just been kind of observing for a
hmm
second just to take it in, see how I think my advice for an artist and myself is to just always be protected, not every room is a room for us.
Yeah,
And,
right on.
even if you're going to have to be in there, just still watch out because,
Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah, and that goes back to us owning the narrative, but also having some sort of space,
Yeah.
that would be really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a space and I'm like, oh, and there's just a lot of, well, I choose to sort of over-explain. I'm like, okay, this is who I am, and this is what the energy is. Like, y'all don't have to be afraid of it. To even have to do that it's sad. Yeah. It's just a tiring thing, for us. But anyway, yeah. Any last words or anything that you'd like to say about being an artist or anything like that?
Just keep playing, keep finding joy. Do your thing. It'll get weird. It's okay though.
What does weird mean to you? Like,
just last year.
Oh yeah.
Things
Okay.
get weird. It might happen. Who knows what'll happen going from on. Here on.
Yeah.
But just stay true to yourself. With everything, all the weird things. Just stay true. To yourself and your art.
Yeah. Yeah. I stress that so much when I'm in classrooms. I'm like just be you. And of course, if you're talking to like a third grader, that might just might be a hard thing to comprehend. But yeah, I think maybe it's sort of a rites of passage, but I think that we all go through a period where we kind of question who we are, like as an artist, and you think, oh, should I be writing more about this, or should I be painting more this way? And that, I think, is just a thing where we compare ourselves to people so much. And I'm always attracted to the art, and you seem like you are too, just artists who are like in their lane, like just I mean, they've picked their thing. I think about Rich's work, like there's like nobody else that does work like that, and I'm glad that.
Yeah, the thing is, digital art scares me. So the fact that he can, that blows me away. But he's in his
I have no idea how some people do some of that stuff.
Yeah, I play with all kind of things, sculpture and printmaking even, but that's the only thing.
Cool.
Yeah,
I could see you having your own space with like all types of different art in it. I think you're on your path to that. So cool. Okay, so how can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Ujorii, UJORII, or my website ujorii.com. So
yeah, I like the background behind that name. If you could just talk about that.
Me and my friends, we came up with it, Kehlani and Amani. It's a blend of Ujima, which is one of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, mixed with Satoru, which means sudden enlightenment, and Ujima is collective work and responsibility. So
Awesome.
I feel like those two go hand in hand. Like, just having understanding can't really happen without collective work and responsibility, accountability. So, and it translates to Aquarius too. So.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, and that just sets the whole intention of your work. That is wonderful. All right. Well, thank you all for listening, and we'll have a link to the website underneath. Buy some artwork and support Black people. And we'll see you on the next go-round of Raising the Volume.
I get scared sometimes.
But as I always say,
It's okay to be afraid
as long as you face the fear.
and keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 70 years. BlueCross BlueShield of South Carolina.